Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Roy Boys Standard. C. Roy is here, flying solo today. My brother is not on this one with me today. The last couple episodes, I would say probably in the last like 3-4 episodes, excluding our BBYSJE episodes, we have touched on the importance of sleep. After the last one we recorded, once again, we touched on it and said, once again, that we need to do a solo show just on sleep, how to optimize it and everything like that. And that's something I've taken a big deep dive in for myself. So that is what we're covering today. Today we are covering sleep and having it be more my area of expertise. I'm going to fly solo on this one. Just to avoid any unnecessary rants or rabbit holes that me and my brother may wander down when we get together. Not that that's always bad. I mean, sometimes they can provide some additional value. If nothing else, maybe a little bit of entertainment value. But nonetheless, I digress. And I'm here alone, so hopefully without the two of us, it'll be a more direct meat and potatoes type of show where you just get punched in the face with a bunch of valuable, actionable, applicable content on how to start sleeping better. So without further ado, I got 12 things, guys. I wrote down a list. I got my list right here. I wrote down basically the 12 things that I have come to find move the needle the most and are also easily applicable. Like I said, I've done a deep dive on this, man, and this rabbit hole probably goes so much deeper than you might think. There's things now where they make nettings to put around your bed to block, Wi-Fi signals that, might disrupt your sleep. And there's things that you can plug into the outlets of your house that, prevent it from giving off too much of a like electric magnetic field to help keep it from disrupting your sleep. Like those things, I mean, this is what I'm saying. The rabbit hole can go so deep, but I want the things, the big rocks, man. I feel like I keep coming to this metaphor of big rocks. What are the big things we can do that are going to move the needle for us the most, that are going to give us the most return on investment? That's what we need to focus on. Once you can master those and get a good grasp on those, then you can worry about, tinkering with the finer nuances of these things. So without further ado, we're going to go and jump into this. These are kind of in order. Obviously when I was writing these down, I kind of, what came to my mind first, what has come to be most beneficial for me and my clients is kind of like the order I started writing these down in. So you could kind of take this almost as like a in order of most important or most beneficial to the least. So we'll go ahead and start with the number one tip I can give you guys, and that is sleep is a habitual process. You have to make it a habit to sleep well, meaning our body likes routine. Our body likes patterns. It likes cycles. Everything in life almost kind of has a cyclical nature to it. And sleep is no different. We have sleep cycles. We have circadian rhythms, where we're rising and sleeping with the sun and everything like that. Sleep is no different. So you want to try and give yourself some sort of habit or routine when it comes to sleeping. This is huge because when you have a constant routine, you can start to signal to your body that it's time, that it's time to get ready to go to sleep. For example, getting to bed at, roughly the same time every night. Like me, myself, I try to get to bed, in bed by 10 p.m. at the latest. Obviously it doesn't have to be down to the minute every night, but if you can get into bed within, a half an hour or so, of the same time every night, that's going to really start to help, man. Your body's going to start to get used to that pattern, and it's going to start to prep itself and prepare itself to start sleeping if you can get on a normal schedule. This is why shift work. If you are involved in a job where you do shift work and you're involved in graveyard shifts and everything like that, oh, I tell you, man, like you are really doing your body and your health a disservice. I mean, I know that, hey, there's some professions out there like doctors and firemen and police officers and military, things like that. Like there's just no way around it. It's just the nature of the beast. And I'm extremely grateful for the people that sacrifice that for the rest of us in order to do those jobs. But I tell you, man, it's rough. It's rough. It definitely hinders you a little bit for sure. So, if you find yourself working graveyard shift or shift work to work at a gas station or something like that, like I'm telling you, man, you need to really take a look and see if there's something else that you can do, because that stuff is going to catch up to you after a while. So trying to get to bed at around the same time every night. And also on the flip side, waking up at the same time every day. Waking up 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, but then you get to sleep in on the weekends and sleeping until 8:30, 9:30, 10 o'clock, because that's going to start to mess up that routine, man. You're going to start to mess up with the rhythm of your body. So then if you sleep in later, then more than likely you're probably not going to be going to bed at the same time because you got that extra sleep. So your body's it's just going to completely jumble your routine. So like time to go to bed, time to wake up has to be constant 7 days a week. Like doesn't matter if you got to wake up or not. Like that was huge for me. Like when I started actually waking up at the same time, even on the weekends, your body settles in, man. It settles in. And then once it gets acclimated to that schedule, it's like clockwork. It just makes so easy. It becomes so efficient at winding down, getting to sleep, waking up. It's very, very, very effective. That's why it's number one. So making sleep a habitual process. So I have like a whole thing every night. Like, I get home from work when we do work. Obviously haven't worked in like a month, or I don't even remember. I don't even know how long it's been now. It's been over a month. So obviously a little bit more difficult with the circumstances we're in right now. But even still, in quarantine circumstances or when we get back to normal, either way, let's get into a normal routine. So, for example, mine looks something like this. Like I know I want to get to bed around 10 o'clock. So around, I'll get home from work, or, me and Sarah will just start to watch our show. And my neighbor just started cutting his grass, so hopefully that doesn't come through. Hopefully my microphone kind of blocks most of that out. But hey, it's a live show. What are you going to do? We do it live. No, so watch a show around 9:30. I know around 9:30, that's when we have to start kind of getting this show on the road. So around 9:30, let Preach out, let the dog out, to go out to the bathroom for the last time before the night's up. Start heading up, start brushing my teeth. I might read for 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, but around that 10 o'clock hour is when I'm getting ready to hit the pillow and go lights out. And I'm always within there, about 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little later, depending, but typically we're right on schedule with that. And that whole process, of winding down, like we watch a show together, then I brush my teeth and then maybe I read for a little bit. It's always the same, it's always very, very similar to being the same. So, my body knows like everything's falling in line. It's getting ready. It's making the proper preparations to start to get to sleep. So, and then without fail, up 6 a.m., 6:30, whatever, same sort of thing. Try to be within 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the most, of waking up each day. So that's number one, habitual process. I wanted to make sure I nailed that one because it is extremely important. Hopefully the rest of these will go a little quicker. Number two, this one's huge and it's very straightforward, and most of us probably know this already, but temperature control. I cannot sleep if my life depended on it if I was hot. If I'm overly heated, then I cannot sleep to save my life. It doesn't matter how tired I am regardless. Like if it's hot and I'm like overheating, I'm sweating, anything like that, just chalk it up. It's not happening. And that's super important. Now, studies have shown you want to try and keep your bedroom between like 62 and 68, I believe is the number, between 62 and 68 degrees. So, start playing around with that yourself and start seeing where that sweet spot's at. Your body wants to be, it should be a little bit cooler of an environment. And if you're one of those out there that's always cold and that just sounds preposterous to you, trust me, give it a shot, give it an honest shot, give it a week. And if you do find yourself to be overly cold a lot, and I know this sounds really weird, but you can try this. I have heard it work for some people. For those of you that get overly cold a lot, try to sleep with socks on. So, drop that thermostat between that 62, 67, 68 degree mark. Start playing around in that range and see where your sweet spot is. But if you find yourself being overly cold, try to put some socks on. Believe it or not, you can actually lose a lot of heat through your feet. And if your feet are really cold, they don't get the best blood flow, best blood circulation. So they can get really, really cold if you're in a little bit cooler of an environment, and that can actually keep you awake. So try sleeping with some socks on if you find yourself, one of you out there that's overly cold all the time. So give that a shot. But that's huge, especially for me, man. I cannot stand sleeping in a hot, humid environment. It's rough. Number 3. Take a little sip of my green tea here. Number 3, and this one was probably one of the biggest aha moments, or one of the biggest immediate noticeable difference makers on this list for me. And that was to black out the bedroom. And I don't mean, close the curtains. I mean, you go and you buy blackout curtains. I first did this probably 5-6 years ago now, when I lived in my first apartment. And I read about, and this is when I really first started kind of digging deep on the sleep and everything like that. And it was one of the things that kept coming up was black out your room. And I had curtains, I had blinds in my bedroom. There's the typical draw blinds, and I would close them, but my balcony of my apartment was right out to the pool of the apartment complex, and there was a light, like a street light, out there by the pool to keep it lit at night, and it would shine right through. So even though my blinds were closed, the outer edges and in between each blind, like some light would still kind of poke through, and the room is not blacked out by any means. So I took a trip to Meijer, and I bought a heavy duty set of blackout curtains, and went back to my apartment, got the screwdriver out, took the whole blind thing out of the window and put this rod in there and put the blackout curtains in there, and even took the sticky adhesive patches that you use to hang stuff up on the wall. Like if you were hanging up one of those plastic hooks, those adhesives that kind of go on the back of those, I even took a couple of those and went on the outer edges of the blackout curtains to make sure that it was completely sealed to the wall. And I tell you what, man, that first night, I put electrical tape over my TV, the little standby light on the TV, phones face down, like there was nothing, okay? And that first night, when it went lights out, it was pitch black in there. And I'm not talking just give it 5-10 minutes for your eyes to settle. No, I woke up in the middle of the night and still could not see a damn thing. It was pitch black. You could have a finger 2 inches in front of my eye. Ain't seeing nothing, man. I had zero reference point of anything in that room. And I tell you what, man, I slept so good. The most restorative sleep that first night was so insanely eye-opening. Now that I think about it, I don't even think I didn't wake up in the middle of the night. It was just when I went lights out. As soon as I shut the light off, it was just insanely black, and I slept all the way through the night, like out cold, deep. It's just like one of those sleeps. Like I'm sure we've all had it at some point. We just wake up and like you wake up and you're like immediately energized. Like you feel good right when you wake up. You're like, man, like I had a good ass night's sleep last night. That's what it was, man. And I tell you what, still to this day, best sleep I ever got in my life was in that apartment. And man, once those blackout curtains went up, I tell you what, that year was definitely the best year of my life. And part of the reason was because I was recovering so well. My work schedule was very light at the time, so I was sleeping easily 9 hours a night, sleeping basically from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. every night. Once again, very habitual with it and didn't break it for anything. Pitched out room, controlled the thermostat. Those three things, man, I tell you what, if you can nail those three things, you're going to be sleeping really, really well. So blackout curtains, that's a must. And those blackout curtains, I've lived probably 3 different places since then, and they have followed me everywhere I've gone. Even in my house now, I have a very long window in my bedroom, and like the rod didn't even fit. So I actually went out and I shifted my own curtain rod to jimmy rig into this long ass window to get those babies up. And like I said, they followed me everywhere I've been since. So that one is non-negotiable. You gotta black out the room. No light whatsoever. No alarm clocks, no TV lights, absolutely nothing. If you should be able to tell zero difference if your eyes are open or closed. Like you should not be able to tell if your eyes are open or closed. Like that's how pitch black you need to get in there. Be obsessive about this. There is no going too far on this one. Completely pitch black your room out. Trust me, you can thank me later. Moving on, number 4. And this is probably one of the latest ones that I've implemented. And I am definitely a firm believer in it. I didn't notice too much when I first started, but I have noticed if I slip up and don't follow this step. And that is, excuse me, man, this tea is just making me burp a ton. But the step is using blue light blocking glasses. So I have a pair of Swannies. So Swanee has been, come to be like the most reputable company when it comes to blue light blocking glasses. And, they're not cheap. I think I spent like 80 or 90 bucks on my pair. And like I said, didn't notice a huge difference when I first started using them, but was religious with it because the research is there. So the research, like blue light that emits from your screens, so from TVs, cell phones, computers, tablets, all that stuff, for every 20 minutes, I believe it's every 20, 30 minutes. You can fact check me on some of this stuff. All this research is available. You can Google this stuff. I've read it in my books and everything. I have probably 3 or 4 books strictly on sleep in my library. And I've done a ton of research on it myself. But all this is available. You can fact check me on all this stuff. But I believe it is for every like 20 or 30 minutes of blue light emissions that you see, basically once the sun's gone down, once it's dark outside and your body is trying to start to acclimate and get ready for sleep, because like I said, our body works on circadian rhythms. For every 15-20 minutes of blue light emissions, once it's dark, it prevents the production of melatonin or serotonin for, I believe it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And that is basically the neurotransmitter that prepares you for sleep, that helps you, not only fall asleep, but more importantly, to help you stay asleep, which is probably a bigger issue that a lot of people have. A lot of people don't have necessarily trouble falling asleep, but they have trouble staying asleep. So that's a big one. So blocking that blue light. Now, the phones, the iPhones, I know the iPhones and everything, like they have the settings where you can, night shift mode, I believe it's called, where you can start to, it cuts out all the blue light after a certain time of your choosing. And I think that obviously you can get the same sort of things on your laptops and tablets and stuff like that, which is awesome. Like absolutely 100% advise you to do that. But TVs, man, I don't know too many TVs that have that option. And that's the biggest reason that I got mine, because like I said, I work all day. My wife works, and I don't get to see her very often. So when I get home at 8:30, sometimes after 9 o'clock at night, all we have is maybe 45 minutes together, and we like to relax and watch a funny show together before we go to bed, and on the TV. So obviously there's nothing, I don't have a filter or anything I can put on my TV. So that's where the blue light blocking glasses came in for myself, was to block the blue light on the TV. So I got those, and they, like I said, didn't notice a huge difference right away, but when I didn't use them, like if there was a night I forgot, then I could definitely tell a difference from not using them. Excuse me, I'm having an issue with the computer, just slept on me. There we go. We're back in business. Man, a little rough show going solo here. So yeah, blue light blocking glasses, highly advise that one. I even got a pair for my brother for Christmas this past year, and I see him wearing them all the time. So I think he would endorse that one as well. Number 5, regular exercise. This one's a no-brainer, and the nature of obviously just me and this show, but not even by me being biased. Like, the research is there. You need to exercise. You need to expend energy. If you sit on your butt all day doing absolutely nothing, expending zero energy, physical energy, then you're gonna be extremely restless when you go to bed. It's gonna be hard to sit still and rest when basically your body is not tired. So regular exercise. I mean, you should be doing something every day. Not necessarily full-blown, you don't have to full-blown workout or high-intensity interval. You don't have to do something like that every day, but you need to be somewhat active every single day, even if it's going for a walk, an extended walk, anything. Something needs to go down every day, though. So you need to exercise regularly, and that one is number 5. That's a big one. There's really nothing else to really dive into on that one, so I'm not going to waste the time on it. Just don't be lazy. Get moving. Get exercising. Whatever you choose to do, exercise of your choice. Number 6. This one is, so this one wasn't too big for me because I already did this naturally, but this is a big one for a lot of people because I know that I'm in the minority with this one, and that is getting to bed by 10 p.m. Like I said, I naturally already did that anyways. But I know, man, there's a lot of night owls out there. There's a lot of people that like to stay up till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then, if they're able to, they'll sleep until 10, 11, in the morning. The research is there. They say for every hour before midnight that you can get to sleep, your body actually treats it like 2 hours. So basically, if I get to bed at 10 o'clock, from 10 to 12, that's like getting 4 hours of sleep as opposed to only 2. And it's because it's that time, when it starts getting dark outside, like in the summertime, it doesn't start getting dark. It starts getting dark around like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So, it starts to get dark by around 10 o'clock. So it makes sense that, that's when our bodies are ready to go to sleep, just naturally. From an evolutionary standpoint, those are the hours our body are priming themselves and ready to go to sleep. So basically, the quality of those hours, the quality of sleep you're getting in those hours is going to be much higher than probably any other time throughout the night. So getting to bed by 10 o'clock, or just knowing that for every hour before midnight you can get to sleep, really, it's like getting 2 in the bank. It's basically like doubling your money. So that's a big tip. So pick a time that you can get to bed. Sticking with tip number 1, obviously, it needs to be habitual. You need to be trying to hit that time within a half an hour every night, but more or less trying to make it around 10 o'clock, definitely before midnight. We don't want to be sleeping, 12:30 to 6 every day. Like, that's just trash. Next, number 7, regular exposure to sunlight. So I briefly touched on this earlier about the circadian rhythms. A lot of people that have trouble sleeping are people that work inside all day. people that are exposed to basically fluorescent light or fake light all day long, or computer monitors, and like just that artificial light all day long. They don't get any sunlight. Over time, it starts to mess with those circadian rhythms I touched on. Those circadian rhythms, guys, is basically your body's natural cycle with the earth, and basically the rising and falling of the sun, basically the day and night cycle, and your body's natural rhythm with that cycle. And if you're not getting regular exposure to sunlight, it's going to start to mess that cycle up over time. So getting outside any chance you can is huge. I used to work corporate America. I worked corporate America for about an 8-month stint, and every chance I got, I was outside walking. I worked, from, I think I started in January and was done at the end of July. So obviously, in the colder months, I wasn't getting out there as much, although the sun really doesn't even shine in those months anyways. But as soon as that weather got nice, man, every single day I was out there. Like, I was barely at my desk. Surprised I never got in trouble, but because I was walking around more than I was ever at my desk. But just trying to get outside as much as possible, get exposure to that sun. And this is an applicable one right now too, guys. Like, we're in lockdown, we're in quarantine. Get outside as often as you can and get that sunlight exposure. Have the blinds open all day long. Get some fresh air in the house. Like, don't be a hermit. Don't live in a cave. Get outside. Be exposed to that sun. Start matching up your circadian rhythms with that day and night cycle, and over time, it's going to start reaping some reward for you. Number 8, this next one. This is a big one, because not necessarily for me, because I don't really have a problem with this, but like I said, this is something that I've had to preach for a lot of my clients, and that is having a caffeine curfew. Coffee is huge. People love coffee. A lot of the high school athletes and stuff I work with, they're sipping on energy drinks all the time. Like, every time they come in, doesn't matter if they're coming in at 12 in the afternoon, or they're coming in at 8 o'clock at night. Like, they got Bang energy drinks, Monster energy drink, whatever it is, and they're sipping on this stuff. That's you have to cut the caffeine at some point. The research that I've seen, usually most people do the best with between 2 and 4 p.m. Depending on how fast you metabolize caffeine and how much of an impact caffeine has on you, you should be cutting it somewhere in that range. No later than 4 p.m. should you be taking in any caffeine. I don't know, America runs on freaking coffee, and I'm lucky. I don't like coffee, so I never had that issue. Caffeine really doesn't do anything for me. I'm not addicted to it. I don't use it. I don't need it for anything. But I know I'm in the minority with that one, and a lot of people do need that caffeine. And caffeine actually has a lot of health benefits. It's been shown to have a lot of health benefits. So I'm not saying to steer clear from it or anything like that, but you need to start steering clear from it at a certain point in the day if you want to start to optimize that sleep. So somewhere around 2 to 4 o'clock, start playing around in that range, see what works best for you. If you can, earlier the better. Like, if you don't have to have it, by 4 o'clock, cut it out earlier. Cut it if you can just do the 1 cup in the morning or whatever it is, like, that's great. But you need to cut it out. Start monitoring how late you're taking in caffeine, and be careful too, guys. So teas and stuff. Like, my wife is a big tea drinker. A lot of teas, they won't really. You have to look at the fine print. Like, some teas will just naturally have some caffeine in there. So, could that be anywhere from 20 to 40 to 50 milligrams just naturally occurring in the teas. So make sure you check that out if you're a tea drinker and you drink tea in the evening. But that's a big one, caffeine curfew. Number 9. It's a kid's show, but we're going to get a little R-rated. Not necessarily. But you have to reserve the bet. And this is a tip that I got from Sean Stevenson. And for those of you that don't know Sean Stevenson, he's like a doctor. He has his own podcast, The Model Health Show. And he actually has a book published on sleep. He was a big sleep guy. That's actually how I first came across him, as I was researching all the sleep stuff myself. And this is a tip I got from him, and it makes perfect sense. And that is, the bedroom needs to be reserved for sleep and sex, okay? Those are the only really two things that need to be going on in the bedroom. Like, you shouldn't have a TV in your bedroom. You shouldn't be lounging around having movie night in your bedroom. You shouldn't be doing your work or homework in the bedroom on your bed. Like, a lot of people just chill in their bed and do their homework or work on stuff or things like that. Like, no. Like, you need to be in your bedroom as little time as possible. Like, you should be in there, like I said, for those two things primarily. Sex and sleep. Those are the only really two things that need to be going on in your bedroom. I mean, obviously, you're gonna, if you have your dresser and everything, you're getting dressed in your bedroom, but that's peanuts. That's minimal stuff right there. But you just gotta keep the activity to a minimum in there. Keep as few people in there as possible as well. It's not a social place. Okay, so reserve the bedroom for those two things. That way, basically, when you go into that bedroom, your body knows just naturally, instinctively, one of two things is about to go down. All right, so I'll just leave that one there. So sex and sleep, the only things going on in the bedroom. Number 10. This is a big one, guys. Stress management. It's a very loaded tip. It's almost a tip on just about any kind of list where you're trying to optimize just about anything, whether it be health, weight loss, sleep, whatever it is. Like, stress management's on there, but it is a big one. It's tough. I found myself too in times of high stress. Like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night just because I'm stressed, and then once I wake up, the gears start turning in my head, start thinking about things. Before I know it, it's like 45 minutes later, I'm still not back to sleep. So you have to find ways to start to deal with your stress while you are awake, and to try and kind of quiet that inner chatter in your head. Whether it be keeping a diary, if you're one of those people that wake up in the middle of the night, or when you go to bed at night, like, you're just thinking about all the stuff you have to do tomorrow, and like starting to stress you out a little bit, start writing it down at night. So you can make that part of your bed routine, making it a habitual process. Is take 10 minutes. When you start winding down at night, take 10 minutes to start writing down everything that you need to get done tomorrow. So, write down anything that came up that day, how you're going to handle it, the things you need to do tomorrow, prioritize them in order. So that way, like, there's nothing waiting for you when you wake up, nothing that you're not prepared for, nothing that's going to kind of come out of left field. So you can kind of rest easy knowing, like, you got it down, you got everything down, you're not going to forget it. And you can tend to it when you wake up. So there's no need to run through what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, anything like that in the middle of the night. So that's a big one. So that stress management, you start to find ways to kind of cope and deal with that stress. Other tips that I like to do, I like to foam roll before bed. Like, like within an hour of going to sleep, hit a nice little full body foam rolling session. It's almost like a little bit of a massage. Kind of start toning down that nervous system, start getting you ready for sleep, help you fall asleep a little faster. So that's a good one too. Number 11, alcohol. You have to monitor the alcohol. A lot of people use alcohol to help them fall asleep, and it will help you fall asleep, but it's been shown, the research is there, that it definitely messes with the quality of your sleep. Your natural sleep cycles are kind of messed up because of alcohol. So keep the alcohol to a minimum. You can't be relying on it, and you can't be drinking it in abundance. Stick to 2 to 3 nights a week having a glass or two, or whatever your poison is. But you got to keep that to a minimum if you want to be sleeping optimally and sleeping with quality hours on the pillow. Lastly, my last one here. Fluid intake. This is an easy one, but a lot of people don't think about it. Obviously, if you're guzzling water leading up to bed, you're probably gonna have to wake up in the night to go pee, and that's just an avoidable disruption. So if you can start monitoring your fluid intake, starting to really taper your water off towards the evening, and maybe cutting it out completely, if you're able to, leading up to the hour or two before bed, then you can, mitigate the risk of having to wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. So that one, pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory. So start kind of messing around with that. Try to get the majority of your fluids in, the first 3/4 of your day. And then that last, 4 hours leading up to bed, really start tapering that fluid intake down. Another one on here that I can't believe really slipped my mind, just because it's so natural to me at this point, and we'll end it on this one, is try to set the environment in your house to match basically what's going on outside. So once it starts getting dark outside, we go low lights in my house. Everything is the recessed lighting on dimmers. We have the dim lights on, or maybe even my wife will kind of light some candles or something. We don't have every light on in the house. Like, I'm anal about it. Like, I yell at my wife, like, sometimes I'll come up to brush my teeth, and our bathroom light, we have these freaking crazy vanity lights that are bright as hell, and she'll be in there with the bathroom light on, brushing her teeth. I'm like, shut that light off. Like, what? I'm like a vampire, man. Like, I won't even go near it. I'm like, dude, I won't even look at it. I was like, turn my head on, I'm like, shut that light off, and like turn the hallway light on with it's a lot dimmer. Then she'll have to shut it off and put the hallway one on before I even come upstairs. Because like I said, man, I'm anal about this stuff. I take my sleep extremely seriously, because it is extremely pivotal for your health, extremely pivotal for your performance in the gym, and it's extremely pivotal for recovery, for benefiting from what you're doing in the gym. And it's all about those gains, man. I'm all about those gains. So I am extremely religious with my sleep. So that's it, guys. That's all I got for you. Hope you enjoyed this show, the last, half hour to 40 minutes with me. Hopefully, this will help you. Hopefully there's things you can take away from this. My brother should be joining us back on the next one. But until then, guys, thanks for listening. I hope this helps you. If it does help you, let me know, man. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys, to know that what we're doing is helping you guys, providing value, valuable content, actionable things that are helping make a positive impact on your life and everything. So, reach out, let us know which ones helped you, or if there's something out there that I didn't mention that you've come to find that helped you. That'd be cool. Like, hey, if there's anything that I can implement to help improve my sleep, hey, there's always room for improvement. Always room for improvement. Nothing's perfect. So let me know if there's something I forgot that you're doing. And then lastly, subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast. We're on iTunes, Spotify. I'm pretty sure we're on all the big ones. We're also dual broadcasting. We got the video on YouTube. Got all the videos of the podcast on YouTube, even the BBYSJE, the sports show with my boy Joey Stevens. Hopefully sports are coming back soon, so we'll be getting those out. And all right, I think that's it. I think that's all the house cleaning I had to do there at the end. So stay safe, guys, and sleep well.